Okay, so if you've scrolled through any social media feed lately, or even just walked down a beauty aisle, hair oils are everywhere. They're basically marketed as liquid gold.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they promise everything from mirror shine to, miracle growth, all your scalp problems solved overnight. The claims are just constant, and frankly, it's overwhelming.
It really is.
Yeah.
And so our mission today with this deep dive is to get past all that marketing hype and really focus on the dermatological facts.
Oh,
We want to give you a shortcut to understanding what these oils actually do for your hair and scalp.
based on real evidence, not just, a good sales pitch.
Exactly. And the crucial starting point, I think, is this big distinction between conditioning and actual long-term growth.
Right, because those two things get mixed up all the time.
They do. Look, most high-quality oils, they provide fantastic conditioning. They improve moisture. They can dramatically reduce breakage from dryness or irritation. But when we look for hard evidence for direct follicle stimulation,
For new hair growing.
for new hair growing, yes,
Right.
that evidence is, well, it's modest. And it's very individual.
So the real goal is more about optimizing the scalp's environment and, I guess, strengthening the hair you already have.
That's it. When you reduce breakage, the hair you have gets longer and looks thicker. And people see that and think, oh, it's growing faster.
Okay, so let's provide some of those practical, evidence-based protocols. We want you to be able to tell the difference between a great cosmetic effect and a medical one. Let's start with what we're calling the core five.
Right. The oils that consistently show up in the research for improving shine, manageability, and just overall scalp health.
So where do we begin? Let's unpack the foundational moisturizers first, the ones for general health.
We should start with argan oil. It's famous for being rich in oleic and linoleic acids and natural antioxidants. Its job is pretty straightforward, really. It restores lipids, those natural fats, to a dry or irritated scalp, and it softens the hair's cuticle.
Okay, so it's sort of the gold standard for basic comfort and shine.
It is. And then you have jojoba oil.
Which is everywhere, but what makes it different from argan? They both seem to soften the hair.
Jojoba is fascinating because it's
Yeah.
chemically it's really unique. It's actually very, very similar to our own human sebum.
The natural oil our scalp produces.
Exactly. And because of that similarity, the scalp just sort of recognizes it and accepts it really easily.
That's a huge insight, so it's less likely to clog your pores or throw things off balance.
Yes. It acts as this light, quickly absorbed moisturizer that helps normalize oiliness. And for people who are prone to dryness, it can really reduce flaking.
Yeah.
And because it's so stable and light, it's often the perfect carrier oil for,
Yeah.
heavier, more active ingredients.
Okay, so moving from scalp comfort to actual protection, let's talk about penetration. If the goal is getting inside the hair shaft, our sources all point to one oil in particular.
Coconut oil.
That's the one.
Yeah, that is its undeniable superpower. It has this unique structure, medium-chain fatty acids that are small enough to actually get inside the hair shaft. This isn't just coating the outside.
It's going deep. So why does that matter for me, the end user?
Well, clinically, that penetration is key to reducing protein loss when your hair is under stress.
Stress like chemical treatments, coloring.
Yes, and heat styling. Flat irons, blow dryers. By filling in those gaps in the hair shaft, it helps maintain the hair's structural integrity. You get better strength, better resilience, and amazing shine. It's like a shield from the inside out.
Which makes a huge difference in how manageable the hair feels, especially for textured hair. But a quick note for anyone buying it, pure coconut oil. If you live somewhere cool, it's solid at room temperature. You have to warm it up.
A very important point. Okay, now let's get to the two heavy hitters, the ones with big claims that need some serious caution flags.
Castor oil and rosemary essential oil.
Exactly. Castor oil has been used forever, and its popularity really comes from its high content of ricinoleic acid. This makes it incredible at humectancy.
Hold on, can we define that quickly? Humectancy.
Oh, of course. It's simply the ability to attract and hold moisture from the air, from your scalp. Castor oil is like a magnet for water. That's why users report less breakage and fuller-looking hair, especially if their hair is naturally dry or coarse.
But there's a massive caveat here, right? You need to be aware of this.
It's the texture. Castor oil is incredibly thick. It's heavy. If you use too much, it is so hard to wash out, and you get this heavy residue that can actually block the follicle.
So less is more.
Way more. Use it sparingly, maybe diluted in jojoba, or as a pre-wash treatment that you wash out thoroughly, not a leave-in.
And that brings us to rosemary essential oil. It has this powerful clinical promise, but it also needs the biggest safety warning.
We have to stress the safety here. When it's properly diluted, we're talking just 2 to 3% in a carrier oil. Some small studies have shown pretty compelling data.
On what specifically?
On hair growth for certain types of thinning, like androgenetic alopecia. The results have been compared to some common medications.
And that comparison is why it's so popular, but the risk is real.
It's the most crucial safety point of this entire deep dive. You should never use essential oils undiluted on your skin or scalp, ever. High concentrations of rosemary or any essential oil can cause a severe, irritating rash called contact dermatitis.
So dilution and patch testing are non-negotiable.
They're mandatory. If you skip those, you could end up damaging the very scalp you're trying to heal.
Which is a perfect segue because the whole conversation in hair care seems to be shifting from just stimulating the follicle to a bigger strategy. It's about healing the scalp.
Exactly. Creating a stable, happy environment for growth. We're moving beyond just moisture. Two great examples of this trend are sea buckthorn oil and pumpkin seed oil.
Sea buckthorn, it sounds exotic. What does it do for the scalp?
It's loaded with omega fatty acids and carotenoids. Its real strength is supporting the skin's barrier function and providing strong anti-inflammatory benefits. So if your main issue is a constantly angry, red, irritated scalp, sea buckthorn is an amazing supportive ingredient.
It calms things down so the hair can grow.
Precisely. A quick note, though. It has a very bright color and a strong smell, so formulators have to be careful with it.
Okay, and pumpkin seed oil is getting a lot of buzz. How does that work topically?
It has these things called phycosterols and fatty acids that seem to help regulate oil production. And it also has those anti-inflammatory effects. It really supports the whole follicular microenvironment.
So its role is more supportive in a blend.
Yes, the data is still building, but it's a great team player in a formula.
And speaking of targeting that microenvironment, there's a lot of interest in hormones, specifically modulating them topically, which brings us to saw palmetto.
Correct. Saw palmetto is interesting because it might help modulate the activity of a hormone called DHT.
Can you just give us a quick breakdown of what DHT is?
Of course. DHT is dihydrotestosterone. It's a derivative of testosterone, and for people who are genetically prone to hair loss, DHT can bind to receptors in the scalp and cause hair follicles to shrink.
And eventually stop producing hair.
Right. So the thinking with saw palmetto is that when applied topically, it might help inhibit that binding process. The evidence is still mixed, but it's a very appealing addition to a multi-ingredient regimen.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting for me. Delivery science. How are we getting these effective but sometimes heavy ingredients where they need to go?
This is the future of formulation. Manufacturers are tackling that heavy, greasy feeling by using things like liposomal and nanomulsion carriers.
That sounds very high-tech. In simple terms, what are they?
Think of them as microscopic delivery trucks. They're tiny little spheres or droplets that encapsulate the oil particles. This makes them more stable and helps them penetrate the skin much more effectively.
So if I'm using a heavy oil like castor, these carriers make it feel lighter and less greasy.
Exactly. They improve how the oil spreads, and they dramatically reduce that feeling of a thick layer just sitting on your scalp. It allows for a much more effective and honestly much more pleasant delivery of these ingredients.
So we've covered the what and the why. Let's get into the how. The practical roadmap for using these oils safely and effectively.
Protocol number 1 is simple and non-negotiable. Safety first. Every single time you try a new oil or a new blend, you have to do a patch test.
Walk us through that process.
Just apply a small amount somewhere inconspicuous, like behind your ear or on your inner elbow, and wait 24 to 48 hours. If you see any redness, any itching, any swelling, that product is not for you.
And let's repeat that dilution rule one more time for essential oils.
The standard is 1 to 3% essential oil in a carrier oil. That's it. Even going up to 5% can seriously increase your risk of dermatitis. If you notice irritation, stop immediately.
Okay, protocol 2. Timing and frequency. It's not just what you use, but when. How often should we be doing this?
A good, cautious place to start is 1 to 3 times per week. And the timing really depends on your goal. If you're using something like coconut oil to reduce breakage, the best way is a pre-wash regimen.
So leave it on before you shampoo.
Exactly, for 20 to 40 minutes. This lets the oil get into the hair shaft before water causes it to swell, which minimizes damage.
And if my goal is just shine and frizz control,
Then a post-wash or overnight application is better, especially for very dry hair. But, and this is a big lead, but if you have an oily scalp, you need to stick to lighter blends, like jojoba, and only use them pre-wash.
got it. And finally, quality and storage. How do we protect our investment in these oils?
Try to choose cold-pressed, hexane-free oils. Cold-pressed means no heat was used during extraction, which preserves all the good stuff. And hexane-free means fewer solvent residues.
And storage is all about preventing oxidation, right?
Absolutely. You don't want the oil to go rancid. It loses its effectiveness. So store your products in dark, opaque containers. Amber or blue glass is great, away from direct sunlight and heat.
Okay, let's wrap this up with a quick myth-busting recap.
The biggest takeaway is this. Oils are powerful supportive tools. They aren't single-ingredient miracle cures. Their real strength is creating a healthy scalp and reducing breakage, which looks like better, fuller growth.
And always remember the regulatory context. Most of these are cosmetics. Their claims should be about conditioning and barrier support, not about curing hair loss. Be very skeptical of products making medical claims.
That gap between a cosmetic claim and a medical reality is exactly what we wanted to help you navigate today.
So what does this all mean for you? Instead of chasing the next viral growth miracle, the smart approach is to focus on consistency, safety, and choosing an oil that is tailored to your specific scalp profile.
Yeah, whether your scalp is dry and sensitive and needs something like sea buckthorn or oily and needs the balance of jojoba. A consistent, proper protocol will always beat a trendy, high-claim product in the long run.
And now you have the insights and the safety protocols to actually support your hair's health from the ground up.